from a number of agencies, and I wonder if you could share that one more time.
Yes, I think it's important for veterans to know what they're entitled to. Because they actually think that they could be a civilian.
Yeah.
There's no way that a trained killer can go and be a civilian. You are a veteran.
Yeah.
And because we train the way we fight the way we train. So if anything happens, we would be the go-to people.
Yes.
But how do we know who are the go-to people
True.
if you haven't signed up for veteran services and you're not attached to a veteran service organization? It is important for us to know the benefits that we qualify for, to know the benefits that our families are entitled to know the benefits that our children are entitled to.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for the city to host that type of event. We tend to wait for other organizations, like let's say like the VA.
Yes.
Central Alabama Valley Healthcare is who Columbus, Georgia VA is under. Mock, Georgia.
Yes.
Buena Vista, Georgia is under Central Alabama Healthcare.
Make it make sense.
How? In the world?
It was the pause for me.
Yes. How in the world can someone in Alabama take care of people in Georgia when they don't live in those areas? We just had a health fair yesterday at the VFW, and it was well, it wasn't us, but it was a veteran, Alicia Traylor, had a health fair yesterday at the VFW where she's a member, and it just did something to me because that was the first time that I actually saw a VA doctor at the health fair. Dr. Rakia Williams from the VA was present.
That's nice.
Yes. And that was the very first time that
and that's the event that I went to, right?
Yes,
oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the very first time.
And I think I was sharing with you earlier, I think it's a great idea. I think veterans, especially being this area specifically, being so inundated with veterans and retirees, could really benefit for such services. One thing that I was sharing before is that when service members get out of the military. So let me share a little bit about myself. When I got out of the military, you know, you're familiar with Soldier for Life TAP. Soldiers go through the transition.
Yes, that's for Army. Yes.
Yeah. Because go Army, right? So you're going to hear this a lot of people.
So sorry.
So we have that transition program, and I thought it was so great that that was my first job out of the military, being a instructor for the Soldier of Life program, one of the counselors. And the biggest thing that I see in soldiers that I saw myself, or just any service members, because we did service all service members, is that they did not know what to look for when they got into their area, wherever they're going to go, home, a new location, if they found a job. As far as veterans, those resources the only thing they know is VA. That's it, because that's the agency to go to when they're filing their disability. But there are just a plethora of services that other agencies provide. You gave me a great history lesson about the historical birth dates and the creations of several veteran organizations. But I think that's the biggest thing, that service members, veterans, and now let me speak specifically about veterans, just don't know what to look for when they get into a new community.
That's true.
So if you was to give one thing, what might be a suggestion that, like, veterans, they getting out of the service and they move into Columbus, Georgia, never lived here, which is someone like myself. What advice you might give them to seek out those things?
I would say that aside from a quarterly
Okay, I like that.
Veterans,
I like that.
Like, if the city had a quarterly stand down for veterans, then we could actually schedule that with the TAP sessions. You know, because then we'd have a representative from the quarterly stand down for veterans to go to the TAP meetings every month for the military members that are crossing over to the veteran status. So that could be a resource. But for now, all we have is the VA. All we have are the veteran service organizations.
And I haven't been to the and I'm glad you mentioned that we're under the Central Alabama Health System, because I always remember that when I get my appointments, it always say CAV, and I like, okay, I'm enjoying, I guess, but never put as much thought into it. There was one thing, and the thought just escaped my mind, as maybe you'll talk some more, and then it'll come to me.
Okay, well, let me just say this.
Okay, so say this then.
Atlanta is almost the same distance as Montgomery.
Correct.
It does not make sense that we're under Central Alabama, except for the reason why I believe they did it, and from the numbers that they're using from us here in this area, was so that they could build more facilities, when we could have actually had those new facilities right here in Columbus, Georgia.
Just reminded me of the question that I want to ask, because now we have the new facility. I know we still have 13th Street, but we had that new one that's on River Road. I have not been to any appointments there yet.
We have 13th Street.
Oh, so they did close it.
We fought for Comer Avenue to be the new VA. And what they did was they gave us a portion of Comer Avenue on the second floor. And then on the first floor, we have Georgia Department of Veteran Service Office. But that's it. We have the clinic at the Portershift Clinic.
Talking about on River Road?
On River Road.
River Road. And I was a little confused. I understood it was going to be a hospital.
Yes, that's what I understood also.
Yeah, so when it was presented, or at least to the public, my understanding, it was going to be a hospital that had these thousands of employees. Yes. So I guess we were told a hospital, but eventually only got a clinic.
Yes.
Okay, so that's interesting, because I work on Fort Benning, and they still retain the Fort Benning office.
Yes.
So whenever I have an appointment, they just direct me there, because that's just a closer point. And it's just continuous care. And I think that's really the biggest question. We want to continue care, because service members are just used to getting these regular checkups, evaluations, either for their job or just for a yearly physical.
So with that, veteran family members. Veterans are entitled to go onto My Health eVet to register, become a member, sign up with ID.me or one of the other secured partners, and then you can actually, instead of going to a doctor for a walk-in, you can send your doctor a direct message, and they will respond back to you.
I think you and us also said is that what I wish we had, like some kind of maybe a breakdown or a diagram or something that said, this is primarily who you should go to for VA. This is who you should go to for American Legion or DAV, because the number one thing that veterans are always, if they don't remember nothing else, they remember their disability rating or their whatever their rating is. And if they have an issue, they know they want to get help with that. So maybe that's the draw in for them to seek out services. But I wish service members knew that, hey, you could go to DAV for this. You can, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about membership, something that you have a high, look at it, I saw your face right there. If y'all saw, did y'all see? You saw that face? So if you're just listening to us, Miss Stringer just made the coolest face when you talk. It's like when you mention candy to a kid and they light up. She just like, let's talk membership. So you are, let's talk about your memberships first. What are you a member of in relation to veteran services?
At this current moment, I'm a member of the American Legion, which was chartered by Congress September 16th, 1919. Okay. Started March 15th through 17th in Paris while they were still fighting, mind you. I'm a member of the VFW. Okay. But I'm looking to gain a membership with the DAV also. DAV, okay. So 3, 2.5. 2 and a half, like spades, 2 and impossible. So the thing is, when service members are people, veterans, they never know, okay, if I'm going to pay money, small as it may be, because small to one is not small to any, but whatever the amount is, what should I expect from DAV? What should I expect from American Legion? What should I expect from VFW? One of the grandest things to know is that you're a part of a group of people that are just like you.
Okay.
In a sense of sign up to fight for the country. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the major things. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. So, like, all veteran service organizations are going through a transition of some sorts. So it is important to know that if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel needed or wanted at that organization, don't feel like you're stuck.
Yeah,
because there's so many others.
That's true.
That is something that I do love about Columbus, Georgia. There's 2 VFWs, there's 2 DAVs, there's 3 American Legions. So you can pick and choose which one you want to go to.
Now, you know what? Because I only knew of one DAV, the one that's on Victory Drive right by the Civic Center.
There's another one, Chapter 56.
Okay.
That's on Airview.
On Westview?
Airview.
Where is that?
It's a small street right off of Victory Drive.
Okay.
And it's also off of North Lumpkin Road.
Okay, man. So listen, you heard it here. We got 2 locations, and then 3
American Legions.
3 American Legions. Okay.
And 2 VFWs.
Well, this is cool. You know, the thing about being a candidate, I can say from this conversation is that we always want to be advocates for all veterans, nonetheless, but we definitely want to give them as much resources, access to those resources. And I think that's the biggest thing, is access to to those resources. So if we could button it all up to say something for veterans that's here. So if you're watching and you're a veteran, listen up. Lakeshia Stringer is about to drop a bucket of jewels on you, as it were, about being in Columbus. And before she gets in there, I'm giving her time to formulate her thoughts. But one thing I know about Columbus is when I was a service member, we always had a mission, something to strive for. And coming to Columbus, not being from here, I had to discover what that mission would be, what that thing is. My brain is just wired to seek something or go after something or attain something or accomplish or be part of something or lead something, whatever the case is. And sometimes opportunities present themselves, the tasks present themselves, the challenges present themselves, and then you just have to rise to the occasion. Then you feel, I like doing this. So one thing, I'm not actually from Columbus, but I went to a school here. Not a high school, a military school.
Okay.
So when we first became leaders, back in the day, it was called PLDC, Primary Leadership Development Course.
Okay. So
I was stationed at Fort Rucker, and they sent me here for the 5-week course.
Yeah.
30 days, really, 30 days. So I met a few people here, kind of kept in touch. So I wasn't from Columbus, but something about Columbus, like, I like Columbus.
Yes.
And so when I had the opportunity to separate from the military, I had the contractor job. When they gave the opportunity to move somewhere, I highly considered and then eventually chose Columbus, Georgia.
Wow.
So being here has been a continued blessing and gift. And so I'm happy to have this conversation about veterans, because while I do many community service, it's always great to be able to support a community that we've always had to think as team members in the military. And it don't matter the branches, even though Army beat Navy.
Or Navy beat Army.
That was a leap year. That don't count. But it's always been a blessing to be a help, and not just to veterans though, but to be of all people. But it's always something special. So, are you ready for this bucket of jewels? I gave you no time. You ready to draw? Okay, ready. Here we go.
Okay, so My Healthy Vet is important to register on, because you're also able to go down to benefits after you register. Let's say you're not signed up for VA healthcare. You can still file your VA claim now, as of late last year, on My Healthy Vet.
Okay.
Yes.
Digitally.
Digitally.
Okay, that's a big. I did not know that.
So I had the opportunity to speak September 30th. In Washington, D.C. at the Congressional Black Caucus. And we brought up some very pivotal issues on that panel with the Secretary of the VA, Chief of Staff of the VA, Tanya Bradsher, David Wilson Schultz, who's from Florida, over the money for the VA, and Joy Elam, that's part of the legislation for the VA. So we had some very pivotal conversations, especially about homelessness. And
did not know that.
Claims,
That's a big major change, because before, if you weren't aware, you couldn't just file it digitally. You had to go into somebody's office, drop a bunch of copies of paperwork, sign something. So that's a big change. So
especially when you could just screenshot.
Exactly.
In the past, when the VA they have 9 call centers. The VA has 9 call centers. So you don't know which call center is going to get your paperwork. And one of the biggest things is that what I've realized with so many veterans is that when they come to me and they say the VA hasn't sent me anything, and then we call them and the VA say, we didn't receive your paperwork. Or we did receive it. Let me tell you, I was giving blood and a veteran needed some assistance, and I told him to come in. I'm giving blood, and he's sitting down with me. We're on hold with the VA. And when I tell you, when the lady answered the phone and she started to apologize to this man, because she had to put a note in there, because whoever received it on their desk that day put that they read it. And put that it was closed. As soon as they received it that day, she gave us the date, the time, everything. And what I did for the veterans when we had to do it with the paper was I printed out the confirmation from the VA saying that they received it, and wrote down on that confirmation the files that we sent in, the forms that we had completed and sent in. So he was like, no, on that day. And mind you, he's an older Vietnam veteran. But you know, when you gear somebody up with what they need, and you see them going into action with what you've given them, it does something to you. It does something to you. So when he was talking to the lady very assertively, she made sure that she put the note in for him, and now he has his percentage. But that was just a short while ago. That it just took them that long to give him a percentage after making that call. But y'all canceled his paperwork. Y'all just sat on it.
And if it had not been for following up, and I will tell you, to any veteran, and then I'm going to shut up, tell any veteran, when you are pursuing a revisit of or just doing your initial claim, follow up, don't stop. A lot of people, they just give up, and that's unfortunate, because you are losing out on some opportunity that could be great for you, yourself, and your family.
May I also say that please file an initial claim. Don't be too proud.
Don't be too proud.
Your monies are your monies. So it comes. I don't know if I can say this. Okay, so in 1919, when the American Legion was formed, and then chartered by Congress, in 1921, they came together with all veteran service organizations and created the Veterans Bureau. And it was also chartered by Congress in 1921. 9 years later, the Veterans Bureau began the VA system. And they made sure they put the VA system under the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the government. Your money comes from your Social Security number at the Federal Reserve Bank. And when you don't claim it, then it goes to the government. In 1988, the VA folded. And then it was revamped in 1989 as Department of Veteran Affairs. So we kept the name VA. It's just pure nostalgia. But because of all the hard work and dedication that it took to create the VA. But in 1989, it became the Department of Veteran Affairs. So if the government shuts down, you will still get your monies, because it's not under the government. It just has government oversight as of 1989. But your money comes from the Federal Reserve, which has nothing to do with the government. They do have some monies set aside on the government federal side. That's for VA employees, not for veterans.
See? Learn something new every day. Listen, thanks for coming by today, sitting with me. I'm thanking her for coming by, but we had lunch, so it's not like she made a special trip, but I appreciate the time. Appreciate the conversation. A lot more stuff. Hey, that's it for this episode. Real Talk Radio, real conversation. Stay tuned for next time.